Welcome back to Game 5 of Michigan versus Georgia. In case you missed last game, Michigan has brought this series to 3-2-1, which makes this a potential elimination match. If Michigan gets the W, Georgia will be sent home and taken out of the competition. We are back to the best starting pitchers from both teams here for Game 5. For Michigan, we have A- Chern Ferguson, who in Game 1 pitched a lights-out 6 innings. And then for Georgia, we have A+ Pablo Campos, who did take the L in Game 1. However, he actually pitched a very good game. Game 1 was a 3-1 score. So it was a low-scoring game, definitely a bit of a pitching duel. And we will probably be seeing something very similar here for Game 5. So let's go ahead and hop on in. So a lot of players here have these lowered mojos. Right now, Briggs for Michigan does have an insane mojo boost, which is always scary. He has had a great series. He'll be up second here. Grubbs, I believe it was last game, started us off with a home run. So we'll see how this thing starts out. Slow grounder. Munster over to first. And that is a quick out one for Georgia. So here we go. Briggs on fire, batting a 6.25 average so far. Pops that one up, and that one looks like it's going to hit the stands. Does drift foul. That one's popped up. Will it make it over the head of the first baseman? No. Peralta is able to catch that for out 2. And Michigan, their S-rated player here, Baylor Grayweather, who is having an absolutely dominant series. Hits that one, but it looks like it's going to go foul, and it does land foul down that first base line. Grayweather getting a number of fouls here. Pops that one high, and that should be fielded. It is fielded there by Griffin. It is important to note Georgia does lead the teams in this tournament for fielding errors. So whenever a ball gets popped up, there's no guarantee. But Georgia will now be batting, and they're going to try to get something going here. Again, Hannah Nicholson, a player that has gotten 0 going so far this series, and that trend continues. Munster here gets a nice hit, but it does get too much air under it, and Grubbs gets the out there in left field. Now we have Harry Nichols up. Harry Nichols is another player that just has not gotten his regular mojo back. His regular season was actually pretty decent, but right now batting below a 200. So a number of players here, if they can get something going, it could turn the tides. That is a quick inning 1 for Game 5. Nelson Hood, another batter that is just doing incredibly so far this series. Michigan, not specifically known for their batting in terms of the teams in this tournament, but so far in this series has put up a lot of great batting stats. That is a quick out one. Moody, I'm trying to remember if he's the one, I noticed a slight injury, I think it was last game. I do see that his fitness is listed as strained and his speed is about half of what it should be. Let's see, that ball gets popped. Griffin is running back, but she's able to field it about 10 feet from the wall. Mayer here, one of the few players on Michigan that hasn't been able to get anything going batting-wise. Starts off with 2 strikes. Just high on that pitch. And just low on the next one. And that is a strike 3 and an out to end the top of the second. So far, going back to kind of our game 1 situation, this is looking like it's going to be a pitching duel, which actually plays into both teams, right? Because if it's a low-scoring game, you would think, okay, well, that plays into Georgia's favor because they're not a high-scoring team. But at the same time, beautiful diving catch there by Crane. At the same time, with Michigan, if they only need, let's say 1 or 2 runs to win the game, they have the hitting power where they can easily pop 1 home run that could potentially win it for them. But we're far from that. Ferguson continues this pitching duel. And we're up with Werther's here with 2 outs. Werther starts off by popping 1 foul. And strike 3. So through 2 innings, we are yet to see anybody make it onto base. And both starting pitchers here are showing why they are the starting pitcher on their team. Campos does now have a locked-in mojo, which any benefit that these players can get now is huge now that we're at an elimination match, and there we go. Strike 3, and that did lower his mojo, so that's something that I believe it was in the Ohio-Texas series where we saw a number of mojos really come into play and really turn the tides. But fielding error by Georgia. I mentioned that back. I think it was in inning 1. That was actually a double fielding error. I think it will only count as 1, but that was still definitely a second fielding error there. Ball gets popped over and just goes far enough into the stands to not be an out. And strike 3. Will be interesting to see if Georgia is able to make a comeback in this series. It'll be very interesting to see how they would potentially progress through this series, or through this tournament. And there's a quick out 3. With Georgia, again, they have to be the only team. I didn't actually double check this before saying this, but I think they're the only team in the tournament that was not in the top half of any of the main categories that we tracked stat-wise for the regular season. So you have to assume that they're going to be an underdog in any series. Seed 2, Michigan here. He's going to want to try to send them home here today. Hard grounder. Briggs does get a diving grab there. And an out 1. That was a beautiful play there by Briggs at shortstop. Number of foul balls here. For Ferguson, this is a relatively high pitch count for this inning so far. Only 2 batters down, and I think that it had to at least have been pitched 10. That ball gets popped, but will not have the distance. This should be fielded here, and Friendly does get out 3. Yeah, so there we go. So Georgia does show up there. They actually would have shown that in the last intermission, but they do have that fielding error on the board. That ball is popped. It's in between the 2 fielders, but both of them get over there in time. Pacheco records out 1. The player that everybody's going to be scared of in this tournament, Grayweather, will get the first hit of the game here and gets on to first. And as a reminder, Grayweather does have a nice speed bar. In the regular season, he stole 24 times successfully, only was caught 3 times. So, not be surprised if we saw him take off. That is strike 3, out 2. So now, with Moody stepping up, this is where Greyweather will more than likely take off if he does, and let's see what happens. He gets caught in a rundown. He has the speed where he might be able to do something here. Nope, he gets caught. Good job there by Georgia, expecting it and getting him caught before he was able to potentially get into a scoring position. Nicholson, again, in the regular season, was one of the best batters on this team, batted a .326 average. So she's just struggled so far in the series, but she's one of those players where if Georgia's going to make a comeback here, her getting a hit in and getting back to regular season stats would be big, and that might be it. It does land. She gets on base, and that is huge for Georgia. They have someone on with 0 outs. And on top of that, Nicholson does have stealing ability. She actually takes off. That ball is popped up, though. She needs to run back to first pronto. There we go. So Friendly does get out 1. Georgia is still over there at first. Nicholson, who did actually take off there, had 20 successful steals and was caught 6 times during the regular season. Nichols starts things off here with 2 strikes. She takes off. And it was actually a good thing she took off. That is actually, that almost resulted in a player on first and second. But Nicholson is now in a scoring position. Hammond has this RBI man positive trait, which is raising his bars quite a bit. Ferguson. Oh, let's see. That is going to land. And Friendly throws it in. And Georgia gets on the board. Georgia now up 1-0. And Griffin here, the star batter for Georgia. Is this going to go over the first baseman again? No, Mayer is able to get it that time. Who has a big inning for Georgia. They got the run, which is huge. But Nicholson also got a hit. Her getting on a roll could absolutely turn the tides of this series. Michigan's going to start off with a nice hit there. They are on. Who was that? I don't know if anybody else noticed that. Oh, yeah. It was injured player. Moody. That's right. I was going to say, you could just tell the speed was horrible running into first. And here we go. Crane is now stepping up. He is considered rattled, so his contact bar is way down. Yeah, strike 3, out 2. Pretend sample more. One of the kind of underrated players of this series so far has had a very solid series. It's hit foul. Slow grounder that will end the inning here. So we're heading into the bottom of the 5th. Georgia has a 1-run lead. As we were kind of expecting, this is a pitching duel, and we'll have to keep an eye on things like stamina. Both pitchers are still relatively low pitch counts. This has been almost a shutout from both of them so far. Ferguson starts us out with strikeout 1. That is actually, I know he's in the double digits. That was strikeout 12 for him so far of this series. Grounder, Briggs gets it over. Out 2. Simone Peralta, their first baseman. Swings at that one, so 1-1 here. Swings at a second one. And strike 3. Man, this is just such a pitching duel. I feel like these innings are so quick. I don't know if we've had an inning that's been over like 12 pitches. Here we go, though. Campos back up, top of the 6th. He's facing off against Friendly, who has struggled so far to get anything going. Campos here does now have 66 pitches, so we will start seeing his stamina start coming into play, but he does get the strikeout. And here comes Grubbs, their leadoff, who so far has done exceptional. Good hit, but it doesn't have the distance. Griffin actually catches it right at the wall. Positive for Campos here. That's pitch 70, but he now has that upgraded on-fire mojo, which is just another big benefit here for Georgia, who's trying to keep their lead. Full count here. And that is hit. Hangnail fields it out in center field, throws it into Munster, and that did lower Campos's mojo, which is something that is very big. He still has an upgraded mojo at locked in. But we'll have to see. Gray weather. Gets a little pop over there to Peralta. And Michigan yet to get anything on the board through 6 innings. 3 innings to go for them to see what they can get going. But here we go. Hangnail, their center fielder for Georgia. And similar to the discussion on the other side, Ferguson, that was pitch 61 for him. He has the upgraded mojo. And we'll see. We could see both of these starting pitchers potentially make it through the full game. That ball is popped, though. Will it have the distance? It's going to fall right at the wall. It does have the distance. Georgia is going to take a 2-run lead with their backs against the wall in this series. They get a home run, and that also increased his mojo. So that's now the second main player for Georgia that we've seen have mojo boost this game. And a very nice hit. Lansdale is going to go into the corner, and that is gray weather out there, so it's held to a single. Still a great hit. And that was Nicholson, so she has gotten her groove back from the regular season these past 2 times up. It'll be very likely to see her take off. Just holds that one back. Nice hit. It gets over the second baseman. And Georgia now the player on first and second. Start things off here. Nichols starts off by fouling one off, then takes a ball. Fouls off another. They're going to think that they're going to take off. I know that she has that speed bar, and we've seen in the first couple of games and series here. There we go. I was going to say, we've seen a number of these double steals. That might be the first one we've ever seen actually work. Here we go. Ferguson is going to get pulled for Precious. Precious, again, is their star relief pitcher. Let's see here. That's going to be at least one out. Oh, there's a fielding error, though. Oh, that was very lucky by Michigan. That did not turn. Griffin here. Oh, man, what a beautiful jumping grab. Potentially saves Michigan from falling further behind. That was a beautiful jumping grab. So here we go. Campos, he is now at pitch 78. He's going to want to get through as much of this as possible. Uh-oh. That one gets popped. And that's out of here. All right, so here we go. Michigan gets back one of the 2 runs that they're behind. And again, Michigan has a number of home run hitters, so it's always a little bit scary. What I was saying before that got popped out of the field there is Georgia does have Morgan Myers, their S-rated relief pitcher, but you have to remember, Georgia does have to go on a 3-game run to take this series. So if they can keep Campos in and keep Myers for the next game, that would be ideal for them. Green is now stepping up to bat here with 2 outs in the top of the 7th. Strike 1 there. Let's see, that one is hit. Does it fall in the gap or no? No, Pacheco does come in. And Michigan gets one of the runs back here. And Precious will be pitching for Michigan. As a reminder, Precious here is an A-plus player for Michigan, so the second best rated player for Michigan behind Grayweather. Werther starts out by striking out. Strike 1. Precious does have that K-man trait, and we've seen these traits really come into play with a lot of players so far throughout this tournament. That will get out 2. And now Simone Peralta stepping up with 2 outs here. Slow grounder, Crane fields it there at second, gets it over, and I'll be interested. This could definitely go down as potentially the fastest game of this tournament. This is just a pitching duel, and everything is resulting in basically some quick outs here. Campos, though, here in the top of the 8th, still has a very solid stamina bar, and he does have that increased mojo. So they're going to keep him in as long as he can. Ground it to Munster. He gets it over, and that's out 1. They'll probably keep Campos in here through at least Friendly. Friendly has struggled so far. She gets a nice hit there that is going to be caught by Hang now. And now Michigan is at the top of their batting order, which this is where Campos, I was going to say maybe subbed out, but they're keeping him in there. He starts things out here with 2 strikes. Just to the outside. Just to the outside again. Ooh, that one had the lift, but it's going to drift foul. And that will end the inning. Michigan has struggled to get anything going here, and that's always dangerous just because we've seen some mojo swaps already. But Michigan does not want to go into Game 6 with multiple additional lowered mojos. The ball stays foul. Precious, look at that one. He's locked in with that K-man trait. His bars are basically maxed. But Grayweather almost catches that. Having an S-rated player out in the field is like cheating. But here we go. Nicholson, who again struggled up until this game and almost had her 3rd hit in a row. But that one was fielded there in left field. Munster now stepping in a high-pressure situation, hoping to be able to extend Georgia's lead here. 1-run lead is definitely not a safe feeling in this tournament. And strike 3. Even though Michigan is down right now by a run, their pitching has been incredible this game. Hard grounder does make it out to Grayweather there in right field. And Georgia, 2 outs, but they have their player on first and second again, which that also brings up this RBI man trait for Hammond. as Hammond is going to look to put some stats on his line here. Just I'm going to go slightly low. Gets a nice hit. It just drifts foul. Greyweather is going to throw it into second. And Georgia increases their lead. Now, Griffin, again, their main hitter in the regular season, has struggled a little bit in this series so far. And she does have that RBI dud trait. We'll see. Oh, just holds back that swing. And strike 3. So here we go. We're going into the top of the ninth. Michigan down 2 runs, but they have their core batting lineup right here. And it looks like Georgia's going to keep Campos in. They're going to say, we trust you to get at least the first out here. That ball is hit deep, but it should be fielded, and it is fielded by Griffin. Here we go, Greyweather. Now, it's good that Greyweather does not have the ability to tie the game right now, but he's just such a threat. Here we go. Oh, that was a low pitch. And he gets the strikeout on Greyweather. Campos here might have a complete game. They're going to keep him in there. All right. Now we're at 2 strikes. And that's going to be out 3. Georgia is able to turn game 5 in their favor, and they have now brought this series to 3-2. Michigan does have the lead in this series with the 3 wins, but Georgia is going to push this to a game 6 as they hope to get a 3-game run here to be able to knock out Michigan. That was a great game, a pitching duel. If you're a fan of pitching, that was a wonderful, wonderful game. In terms of MVP, again, in a game like that, you gotta think that it's going to go to one of the pitchers. But if it does go to somebody that isn't pitching, Hammond, 2 RBIs, I think is one of the options. Hangnail was also the one with the home run. But let's look at these pitching lines, because these pitching lines are crazy. The MVP here has to go to Campos. Just a beautiful, beautiful game from him. Let's see what the game says. There we are. Campos does get the MVP of game 5, followed by Hangnail. And then Ferguson also had a very solid 5 innings that he pitched. So what a pitching duel of a game. Thank you guys for joining me for game 5. This will be very interesting going into game 6. Georgia has to be probably the biggest underdog in this tournament in terms of their stats from the regular season compared to what we're going to have to see them pull off here. But if they're able to knock out Michigan, that would be a huge confidence boost for them. So I hope you guys join me for game 6. We're going to see if Michigan can eliminate Georgia or if we're going to go into a game 7. So this will be exciting. I'll catch you guys there.